Today I'm looking at the last of the Beatitudes, or can I say the attitudes that Jesus spoke about in his Sermon on the Mount. Now there are some things that you just have to read twice. Did I hear that correctly? What is Jesus saying here? You are blessed when you're persecuted. Now I don't like conflict. I don't like it when people are upset, be it with me or anyone else for that matter. Then I read what Jesus said. God blesses those who are persecuted. And he adds a little more. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. I need to check my be attitude on this one. Jesus says, be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, he goes on, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the very same way. So what is Jesus talking about? What does he mean? Perhaps we should first of all look at what Jesus doesn't mean. This is not a command from Jesus to go out and look for persecution, or that unless your neighbours hate you, you're obviously doing something wrong. That's not what Jesus is saying. I'm not saying that at all. But don't get too comfortable, because this beatitude hints at something that Jesus says at other times that we read about in scriptures. We may not aim to experience persecution, but those who are a part of his kingdom will experience it. So don't go out looking for it. Don't aim to experience it, but just be aware that it's going to come. Listen to Jesus from John 16:33. I have told you all of this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you'll have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I've overcome the world. So Jesus isn't saying that we should go and look for persecution. Rather, he says that we will experience it because we are to be like him. In fact, Jesus gives us the very reason we'll be persecuted. It's going to be for righteousness' sake. Jesus is the light in darkness, and Jesus is the light in the darkness rather, and darkness does not like light. People like the cover of darkness to hide their sin. Jesus illuminates that sin, and it's not appreciated. He also says that people will say false things about us. Now, if you're persecuted, people are probably not going to say, I'm persecuting you because you're such a good and perfect person, a goody two-shoes. The early Christians were charged with being immoral, atheists, and even enemies of the state. They were charged with immorality because they kept talking about loving their brothers and their sisters. It was taken out of context. They were charged with being atheists because they refused to worship the Roman gods. It was taken out of context. They were charged with being enemies of the state because they said that Jesus is Lord, not Caesar. The people didn't understand it. Of course, none of those charges were true. When persecuted, the charge will always be something else. We've seen it quite a lot in our time. You won't be charged with being righteous, but you may be accused of being intolerant or disloyal or not even a team player. It's actually an important part of what it means to be on mission. Now, if you're not on mission, you probably won't be persecuted at all. Jesus is saying that we can live in line with his kingdom even when it leads to a clash with a rival kingdom, and that we can consider ourselves blessed even when we're persecuted. So that's what he's saying, that we can be blessed even when persecuted. That's what it means. So rejoice, be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. Jesus again tells us that we can rejoice when we're suffering as we think about what we have yet to come to us. So this morning or this afternoon, whatever time you're looking at this video, how are your attitudes? Does your attitude need a check? There is a promise of a great reward, and know this, God is not slow in honouring his word. Over and above all of that, it is the right thing and exactly what we're called to do. We're not called to stand in judgment, but to stand against those things that do not belong in the kingdom of God. Now, we're still in lockdown here in South Australia, although restrictions, I hear, will ease soon. So why not, while you have time, read the Beatitudes once again before you get back on the treadmill of life. And you can find them in Matthew chapter 5. Have a blessed week.